Well, good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, 17th of December. It's almost Christmas. Today, we started our day with nice music. Some of them about Christmas. That was very nice. And let's make our initial prayer to warm up our day a little bit because it's really cold. And let's have a wonderful study again. Master Jesus, thank you. Thank you for another day. Thank you for another opportunity to be here amongst friends, enjoying that opportunity that will bring light to ourselves and eventually to those that come closer to us that are in need of understanding, of love, of peace. Be with us, my Father, be with us, my Master, in this opportunity once again. So be it. So let me share the book with you all. Let me move that to the bottom so then I can see a bit better. Here we are. We are starting today on the item 19. Quick thought that if any one of you want to say anything, want to ask, want to make any comment, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, this become a lecture, and this is not a lecture. This is a study, okay? Does this seeing of spirits occur in a normal state or only during ecstasy? It can occur under perfectly normal conditions. However, those who see them are almost always in a special state of which approaches ecstasy, and which gives them a kind of second sight. You can see that on the Spirit's book, item 447. Interesting, isn't it? Regardless that it can happen in a normal condition, the medium to perceive the spirit, he's a kind of excited. He may not need to go to the ecstasy point, but he's excited. His sensibilities are excited to allow him to perceive the discarnate being. I believe that every time when you do have any sort of mediumship popping up, you are in that status is when your sensibility are a bit more engaged, is when you perceive, when you listen, when you see, when you write, when you do something. Do those who see spirits do so with their eyes? They think they do, but in reality, it is their soul that sees them. This is proven by the fact that they can still see them with their eye closed. The other day I was speaking to a spiritual friend exactly about that, because during a conversation he mentioned that the spirit can see not only with the eyes, but through the pores, through the whole body. He can see that. And I have difficulty to understand that, because we see with the eyes. And I did a question. I did ask, is there a different type of sense that the perispirit has? And his answer was no, it's not really a sense. And it's difficult to explain to you because you only see through their eyes. But we are like energy, and we perceive things around us because everything is energy. And he gave the example of the sun. When we look to the sun, what do we see? Is an orange ball, right, in the sky. But we also perceive the sun, even if we don't look to the ball. How do we perceive the sun? By its clarity, by its light. Make my understand a little bit better. But being honest with you all, I'm still struggling to fully understand. But then, after that conversation was over, me thinking about it, I always try to go back to the mediumship meeting where we see some phenomena when we feel, when we see something like, And then I start to comprehend a little bit, because sometimes we see without seeing. We see things, but not through our eyes. It's like the image was just dropped in our brain, and then we start to see things moving. We start to see that picture that is painted by the spirit, for example. Well, why I'm saying that? Just to show you all that we know very little. And our 5 senses are not enough to explain what is out there. Perhaps our 5 senses will evolve as well to a 6th sense, to a 7th sense, or something one day. I don't know. But there is more out there than what we can feel or see. And that's very interesting, because that keeps the door open to further studies, research, and understanding. How can a spirit render itself visible? The principle is the same as for all other manifestations. It resides in the properties of the perispirit, which can undergo as many modifications as the spirit sees fit. The perispirit is something that we also know very little. Yeah, we do have few books. They are pretty good, but not on every language. So that is already a point of difficulty. And thanks, we can find them more easily in Portuguese, but to someone that does not speak the language, it's not straightforward. And even though there were some students, some scientists, I could call them like that, really trying to dissecate this perispirit, we still know very little about it. But I believe that as we move along, more information will come. Different level of understanding may be granted to ourselves, because they cannot give us information that we are not ready to receive either, right? Neither. Can I spirit? Yep. Go on, Pablo.
Would that mean when it says that the spirit goes and get modification in his spirit to be seen, would that mean that the spirits are only seen when they want to be seen? It's not like if I am a medium that can see spirits, I will only see spirits when they want me to see them? Or is it something that I will see them regardless? I just wanted to better understand.
If we refrain to the test, that would be my understanding, right? That the spirit needs to have a will, exercise it to allow someone to seize them. But the practice shows us something a little bit more complicated. Because sometimes the spirit does not even know you're coming or you are there, and then he's even surprised. Oh, you can see me. Then I have to think aloud how we can breathe. Do you think before you breathe? Inhale. No, you don't do that, do you? It comes automatically. It's something that happens naturally, right? But to you to breathe, there is a sign that leaves your brain into your lungs. Otherwise, you would stop breathing. Nevertheless, you don't send us an order. Inhale. No, you don't do that. It comes automatically. So I believe some of those modifications of the perispirit happens without the spirits knowing that's happening. Sometimes they don't even know how to do it if they wanted to. Because everybody preached, oh, the perispirit is very plastic, you can do anything with your perispirit. I truly don't think it's like that. If you do know how to do it, it's different. If you do have the understanding required to be able to do it, is something. And then came to my mind here now that movie Ghost. I don't think I'm that old, but I think most of you will remember that movie Ghost, where one spirit in the train, he used to drop things, make noises. And when the other one came and asked him, can you teach me? I don't know, I just do. I don't know, I just do. I don't know how to send a signal to my brain, to my lungs, to breathe. I really don't know. But I just do anyway. So I think there are things like that. But nothing is cast in stone in that matter because we still know very little. What I just said is my understanding. Some spirits, they may know how to do it, and I want to pop up in front of you to scare you tonight. Ta-da! I'm here. I know how to do it. Some may not. Some do without even knowing they are doing. But I'm not sure if I answer your question, Pablo, but let's do an experience tonight. Okay?
No, thank you.
No, come on. Does it help what I said? I'm not sure.
I just think that, yeah, it is a very complex subject. So I don't think it's just a straight answer. So yeah, I'm just trying to understand better because when people say, oh, they saw, I saw spirit or I saw something. And so if you saw something like all of a sudden, and if it's only allowed, if the spirit allowed you to do it, so how did you do it all of a sudden, just like a glance, you know? So this is something that, yeah, it would be interesting to be further explained or explored, because like if you just saw out of a glance, so the spirit allowed you to see it out of a glance, you know, it is out of curiosity for me.
Yeah. Having the opportunity to be amongst mediums, clairvoyant mediums, and know that sometimes when they come to a room, they perceive the spirits without even knowing that the spirits were expecting him or her to arrive in the room. I think is more to that equation that we know. Go on now. I see your hand.
Sorry, I just want to complement a little bit. Maybe what I have now can help a little bit understanding. That also you need to consider which frequency that spirit is, dimension, because it's different if a spirit is already in the light. I mean, it's a mentor from is already passed, or is one that is wandering around here. Some people have some facility, of course, the ones around here, roaming, the cross, how we say, of the earth. They are less ethereal than the other ones. The ones passed to the light, sometimes depending also of their hierarchy, is more difficult to be seen. They need to approach our frequency. They need to get less ethereal. It's more difficult. Not all the mediums that can reach that kind of mediumity. And also in mediumship, I can feel also there is the frequency that the medium can reach. So sometimes we do some exercise or a lot of paths, how you say, that give more energy, and we can feel that takes some time until they can feel the approach of one of the mentors to help. So it's a little bit more deep. I know you all know, it just missed some words to help him to understand how much bigger is the extension of answers here. So I hope I helped a little bit.
Let's do something.
And didn't help because it didn't help because it's more confusion. I mean, in the matter, I think it's more the practice, right? What I'm saying is really, yeah, help me.
Let's make a deal here. You make things clear and I make things more complicated. Is that good? And actually,
let's try to complement. So, yeah.
Actually, you mentioned something very, very important. And when you were talking, something came into my mind that we may have 10 different mediums, clairvoyant mediums in the room. Not necessarily every single medium will see the same spirit.
It's true.
So this is is it because of vibration?
I would say frequency, sometimes part of it. Of course, is it's true, all of that you're saying, and I'm just compliment what could explain that, because I think is what he wanted, more explanation. There's never a complete explanation because our level of understanding, but it's part of it is or is not. And I bring another thing that is the frequencies of the thoughts and the feelings of the spirits also. And some of them has, like you said, facility to make seem. For example, Divaldo has that story that once he saw in the airport here in Europe. So they made them see is more low-level spirits that really want to scare and show the battle they had. Like he tells, remember, he saw spirits from there were enemies here, like Jewish with Islams, or with a lot of, they got together to go in against the, let's say, the forces of the good. And that would mean like they really make the effort and they really have a way to come and be seen when they want. It's, I would say, also takes more practice, more understanding and more study from their side also to do this. I just come with things that's more complicated. let's get together and say, yeah, let's get together, and it would take years to come up with some explanation in the book for all the knowledge come from small examples of cases that happened here, that André Luiz Groth, and that happened with Chico Xavier, and that is I mean, is what you are trying to explain, and maybe it's the reason that is missing so much more is because you cannot explain like he wants the answer right now in just some sentences. I cannot also, but it's just to tell everybody that it's really as big as you thought you tried to say.
When you were saying those words, I was thinking here, frequency.
Because our emotions vibrate our thoughts, right? From our thoughts, and so it has a frequency of waves, and it's something that I just like to study this. I'm sorry. I am in the science spiritual science group, and we talk a lot about that, and it would be like in different frequencies. It's the reason why Kardec say that some spirits they cannot see their guardian angels or like our mentors, and they need to make them sing because they need to go to a more material way to be seen. So there's a lot of lost spirits that when our spirits mentor workers in our spirit center, they use those that is a little lower to do more material work, more cleaning, and also to invite those on the streets to bring inside, and to, because it's not that can come a little higher spirit and just talk to one in the street. It would take a lot of energy to go down the frequency they are, because they are in the, what do we say, they are already past the light. It's the reason why many spirits around here, they cannot see the light. They cannot reach because their heart or their feelings or their guilt brings them in that way where they're gonna permanent stay here, or go even a little lower, like umbral 1, 2, or -1, 2. It's depending on the heaviness of. Marlene Nauber has this saying, for Palestra, I'll say. One time she said that the spirit, the perispirit, has a weight, and when the person dies, stays in the dimension and the frequency, or I would say dimension right now, and according to the weight of their perispirit. So if you get together with all of this and the frequency of thought and the vibration of the cells we have to reach that, how much more fast we vibrate, more frequency easy to reach, and all of, and to communicate with the higher spirits, we need to be in short waves frequency, and the long waves frequency goes more in this area where we are. And that logic of studying frequencies that I like I told you, makes more logic for the way that I want to explain things, but I would say that somehow is all connected. It's just a different way to explain.
When I hear words like frequency, resonance, things like that, it triggers my professional page, let's say like that. And I, thinking like a technician that I am, I, over the years, think that what we understand on Earth is not exactly the same how it works on the spiritual world. A primary example is the law of attraction. In physics, on earthly physics, the opposite attracts one another. In the spiritual world, it's the contrary. The equal attracts one another.
It's true. Maybe the opposite attracts to help me.
when I'm talking about
help.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. When we're talking about frequency generates resonance. That's one vibrating here, the other one vibrate there, and they're exactly the same frequency, and they both start to vibrate in that same frequency. And when we have a clairvoyant medium able to see a low-level spirit, and beside him, beside the very same low-level spirit, he or she can see an elevated spirit, I'm adding a massive question mark into that equation. If I can only see, let me just finish that one. If I can only see the spirit because of vibration, frequency, how can I flick, or how can I see both spirits with different frequency at the same time?
Exactly. In that matter, in our studies, in the way that we came, I mean, in the contact with, in our mediumship, the understanding is that, and also I think got from the studies of André Luiz and Kardec somehow, I don't remember where, they would lower their frequency. And I did this, I saw this in, I did a cursus with Ame, and I don't remember which one they gave this explanation about hertz and frequency. That made sense for me, that I'm trying to bring, but maybe very poorly. And as I understand, for example, a higher spirit cannot come and knock the wall because they are more ethereal. They use other spirits that can, I don't think, and we know also by frequency, for example, the high, very higher spirits, they when they come to Nosso Solar, for example, how we say in English, our, Nosso Solar, the book, they, for example, they come and they show themselves through a different way, communicating, television and all, because they don't come personal. Another thing, for example, I remember is André Luiz's mother, for example. She really didn't come to see him like in the movie, but he would, in desdobramento, let's say, go with a different, of the different body, like, let's say, it's the way that I understood it and I study, that she can also, you know, it's not all the spirits that are in the frequency, or let's say in the possibility to go very fast in this place here where we live, in this umbral. And when they go down, for example, to go down to help in the umbral, they need to rest a lot. They need to go down the frequency. They need to get more heavy and to kind of mix out there. We can listen, see also André Luiz. I can put together this with the studies I did with the frequency and waves, but I cannot explain right now what comes. You are more technician about that. And of course, you know more, but I would just want to say, I'm sorry, in my mind, after reading this, it made sense. And maybe it's wrong. Maybe I need to study again. I don't know what would mix a lot of, for example, I have the understanding of the 7 bodies we have. And I know that, for example, are 7, and mental inferior, mental superior, and Atma Vedic and spiritual, and each one would be in a different level and different. Is easier to do some kind of elevation.
Yeah, but so you are bringing something way too complicated for that matter now.
Yeah, it is. I just want to. I'm sorry.
It's not even. This is not even well accepted by the spiritist yet, right? You're bringing things from other doctrines as well, and
I'm sorry. I don't believe that, because I just studied inside. No, I just studied inside spiritism. So I don't know where it would come from another, because I can look for
I
for you anyway. Just to say that has the I learned with spirit is also, and so like Andrea Luis talks about the chakras and saying using other words, and how he call now I don't remember. So some people use this and just say, I think it's still in the doctrine and the spiritist, because it's just the only thing I read. But I just came to that to show how connected it is with the frequency, because I remember I just understood that it was a little more difficult to know how even you can see good spirits that are working in a meeting with a spirit that is not, and that is in the umbral or something that we are helping. And I understand also sometimes bring up a little more higher energy, giving more energy to change a little bit the frequency of the spirit that also come to the meeting when it's kind of a more hard mediumship meeting. But let me so say stop, because I just made a mess here. I'm not getting back into disturbing.
I think
It's
that
a lot of thoughts.
I think that sometimes we bring too much knowledge into what we understand as a spiritism, but it's not even mentioned in Kardec. I do that quite often, and I have to refrain myself. And for example, if we study Ramatiz, there's a lot of good information there, but we don't have the right support in Kardec, for example. And there's a lot of good information on the Vedas, on the Indian philosophies, if you like, but we don't find the right support in Kardec. So I always refrain to Kardec, because I consider Kardec as the safest.
But you bring Andrea Luis many times also, right? I just brought a lot of understanding of Andrea Luis and
I'm not
just
complaining
about that.
Yeah, I'm not complaining, and I love Andrea Luis. I love Emmanuel, but Emmanuel himself said that if you find something in my books that diverge, that's different from what is in Kardec, you stick to Kardec. So if he said that, who am I to say something different?
No,
right?
Of course. I understood that Kardec said that his teaching would be completed in the future, and I thought would be by Chico Xavier. I thought that made sense that the Chico Xavier studies came and brought things that never went against the book, but it kind of complements. And I understood that this what would happen. It's the reason why I study a lot Andrea Luis and Manuel. For example, if you go to those books, Evolução em 2 Mundos, Evolution Towards, I don't know how is it, and you get more insight, physical and chemical, or if you go to Janice make more sense with Andrea Luis in this kind of Manuel and this kind of thing subjects. I go further, but I understand that in this study also it's better to stay with what is this book now, those books that we're studying. So
but let's go back to the word frequency.
Go back.
Start all this wonderful conversation. Before I allow Ebony to talk, because Ebony is desperate to talk, as always. And I think we stick too much to words. Sometimes even without comprehend the full meaning of the words. I'm not talking about the word frequency, I'm talking in general, words in general. I think would be more, today, nowadays, we have a different word that was not existent during Kardec time that would perhaps explain better the phenomena where we can see side by side one elevated spirit and a low level spirit. Even if he decreases his own vibration, his own frequency to be seen, but never will be the same as the low range spirit. if we start to consider our word bandwidth, that means a range, we start make things more easy to understand. Because then I'm one medium, I'm able to see from 1 to 3. And we have Ebony, that's another medium that can see from 2 to 5. And we have Ana Paula, that is another medium that can see from 1 to 5. So that is related to the spectrum you can see. So I believe if we start to consider that my range can see this type of spirits, my range can see the other type of spirits, I think that would make more sense. But go on, Ebony, before you start to cry and blame me.
Thank you. I was about to lower my hand because you just said what I wanted to say. I put up my hand because I wanted to answer the question that you raised, and I think it was very important when you talked about being able to see spirits of different vibrations. And you talked about vibrations, and you talked about frequency, and you talked about resonance. But I think another word that we need to bring to the equation is attunement. You know, and you just basically explained that if we are within a certain range and we can basically tune ourselves to whatever frequency we are able to, or that we have the potential to reach. So if I have the capacity to reach 10, I have that range between 1 and 10 that I can tune into. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And it's always important to refrain to the practice, because sometimes the practice, what we can see on a mediumship meeting, bring us light to better understand all those theories, because in the reality, we're talking about theories. We were not able to prove anything in science yet. So we're talking about theories. And
also, Andrew Louis' book In the Realm of Mediumship and the Mechanics of Mediumship talks about attunement a lot. So it would be a good starting point to read from there.
Yeah, I agree. You know, as you know, I love André Luiz. We study André Luiz. But I would like to ask you one thing, guys. I can see that it's 27 messages on the chart, and I'm not going to read that chart, unfortunately. So if you do make any comment that's positive to our study, please raise your hand, open your mic, and talk to us, right? So now we go to 22. Can I spirit per se make itself visible, or can it only do so with the aid of the perispirit? In your material state, spirits can only manifest themselves with the aid of the semi-material envelope, which is the intermediary through which they act upon our senses. I'll read that again. In your material state, spirits can only manifest themselves with the aid of the semi-material envelope, which is the intermediary through which they can act upon your senses. We know that any mediumship manifestation only happens through the perispirit, right? I think that we have no doubt about that anymore. Under this envelope, they can appear in human form or any other form, whether in dreams or in walking state, whether in full light or in darkness. When we read like that, it's like a spirit or any spirit can become light, can become darkness, can become an animal, can become a human being, can become a shape of a stone. It's not like that. The potential is there. The potential to something to happen is there. But it only happens with the right degree of information, knowledge of how to do. When he says here it can appear in any shape and form, and we do know that some of them appears in a mediumship meeting in a shape of animals, sometimes they don't even know they are like that. Sometimes they are magnetized to assume their form. It's an external power acting upon the perispirit that starts to lose his form. He does not even know. So there's a lot more to bring into that answer if we really want to go deep into the answer. But if we read like that, yes, the spirit can do anything. Oh yes, I will appear today for Ebony like a butterfly. Tomorrow I may appear to her like an elephant. After tomorrow like a bird or whatever. Is it really like that? No, it's not. Right? And everything has laws. Everything has an organization. Everything has a need of knowledge to be able to do it. Is our perispirit plastic? Yes, it is. But it does not mean that we can do anything with that. We can do everything with that. Eventually, if I'm becoming too evolved and I master all the technicalities to make it happen, perhaps. But only the evolved spirits can do that. Nope. We have information from the spirits that are very low grade, able to do things like that too. Oh, so that's not related to the moral level of the spirit? Nope. Nope. As ever, anything can be used for good or for evil if you know how to use. Your will be able to use something for good or something for evil. Magnetism is one of them. Oh, we can only use magnetism for the good things. Nope. Magnetism is a power of nature. You decide how to use. And if you know how to use, that is on you. Could we say that it is through a condensation of the perispirit's fluid that the spirit makes itself visible? Condensation is not the right word. It only serves to make a comparison that can help you understand the phenomenon. While in reality, there is no actual condensation. The combining of fluids, a special condition in the perispirit which has no analogy for you, but which renders the spirit visible nonetheless.
This is very interesting because comes on the topic that not every word is exactly used in the full technical meaning, but as a metaphor for explaining something, which it sounds interesting. And just my opinion around that.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, before you say, Daniel, what you said, I was thinking here. We have several degrees of condensation, just for the sake of using the same word. We can see the spirit in the dream. We can see the spirit when we are awakened. And we can see and we can touch the spirit and feel the matter of the spirit. Through Kardec, we call that different names. And the last one I said is materialization. But what is a materialization? It's the same principle. It's the combination of the fluids like we saw already in other studies we did here, right? How can we compare that to something that we can understand? Nothing comes to my mind. How can my physical body, because for the perispirit, for the spirit is a physical body for the spirit. We just call a different name because that's to a better understanding. But the perispirit is the body of the spirit, period. How can my body absorb something? Our physical body would have limitations to do it, massive limitations to do it. But we do anyway. On the perispirit, because the density of the body is different, possibly it becomes easier for that particular body to absorb different fluids, different energies, and then to graduate itself. But we are talking about if, we're talking about theories here, and there are so many theories about that subject too. Are there spirits who appears always intangible and inaccessible? Are there spirits who appears always intangible and inaccessible? In their normal states, they are intangible, like in a dream. Nevertheless, they can make an impression upon your sense of touch and leave signs of their presence. In some cases, they can even render themselves tangible for a moment, which proves the existence of some kind of matter between them and you. Oh, I see a hand. Ana Paula, is your hand, you want to say anything, or this hand was there from the last time?
Oh my God, sorry. I really,
Oh,
I am so bad in that. Thank you.
No worries, because I just noted the hand, so I thought, now I have another hand. Hi, Pablo.
So based on what is said here, that the spirit can leave an impression on your sense of touch, but that will be depending on the medium, right? If the medium is capable of giving the ectoplasm for this to be happening or not?
No, let's do a test with you just now.
No.
Oh, come on. Well, why I said no? Because we all are mediums. The different levels of sensibility is what we define as ostensive mediums or not, but we all are mediums, right? And from time to time, if I have someone here in this room that never felt, please raise your hand. But from time to time, we feel like a very little touch in your hair. Oops, what's that? A little shivering. We feel like some little touch, like a hug, like even a presence, someone that comes closer to you. Do we have anyone in this room that never felt that? Raise your hand, please. We have, how many people here today? I don't even know how many people we have. We have 16 people here today. Does anyone never felt that? You never felt that, Pablo? Even in the mediumship meeting? So we're gonna have that today.
Oh dear.
You're going to have that today. And I think the interaction between both worlds are there all the time. Sometimes because we are hyperactive or we are doing things we do not pay attention. We do not pay attention. Is one familiar spirit that come give you a kiss, give you a hug, just pass your hand to your head, like. And sometimes there are also spirits to come to hit you because they are very unhappy with you. Sometimes a trip and fall is more than just a trip and fall. But we don't pay attention on those little things. We don't know, or we don't want to know, because I don't want to know there is a spirit with me here right now. I'm already scratching my back here, like, oh dear, full of spirits around me now. Like, you know, but the spirits are there. The spirits are here, and they do interact with us. And depending on your sensibility, you feel more than other people. Depending as well on how the spirit know how to manipulate the fluids around him, you will feel more that, yeah, he's really here. Sometimes you don't feel the hand, you feel the warmth. How many times we were in a mediumship meeting where, oh, I don't know where it's from, but I felt a massive cold today. I felt a massive warmth today. What is that? I never felt that before. Yeah, I never felt a spirit touching me before. Have you ever never had something like, whoa, what's that? Something like a little shivering from nowhere. There's no wind. There's no, it's not cold. There's nothing. What is that? So I'll ask again. Now more specific. I only saw Pablo's half hand like that because he did not want to appear. Have you never felt anything like that, Pablo?
Well, I would say during the mediumship meetings, I would say I would feel the vibration that, yes, but and I would say it would be hard to recall a specific situation like you know, chills or something like that. Maybe it happened, but at the time I didn't link it to anything else rather than, I don't know, a cold wind or something. Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
So we'll do a test today. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you.
Then and then I ask you next week the same question.
I'm fine, thank you.
Item 25. Is everyone capable of seeing spirits? During sleep? Yes. Quite often what we think is a dream is not a dream. But not while awake. During sleep, the soul sees directly without any intermediary. While you are awake, the soul is influenced by the organs to different degrees. Thus, the conditions are not the same in the two instances. When you are sleeping, your spirit, your perispirit, detaches from your physical body. So you are exactly like a spirit. You see, you talk, you feel fear, you feel heat, warm, whatever. When you are awakened, as we all know that mediumship is organic, we already had a study about it. Mediumship is organic, and organic from the perispirit and the physical body. So when you are awake, you have that buffer. So if your physical body is prepared, if your sensibility, the sensibility of your physical organs are to the level that allow you to see, to perceive the spirit, you will. If you are like a stone, you won't see anything, right? Oh, last question. So let's see, we still have 5 minutes. So what does the faculty of foreseeing spirits in the walking state depend on? It depends on the organism of the greater or lesser ease with which the fluid of the seer combines with of the spirit. We're bringing another complicated understanding into the frequency matter, because you see, it tells me here that to allow me to see the spirit, the fluid of the medium, the seer or the medium, needs to combine with the fluid of the spirit. So it's not just a matter of frequency anymore. It's a matter of fluid. That makes things even more complicated. How can I mix my fluid with two different spirits of two different levels? I don't have an answer for that. I truly don't. But makes things more complicated. So that's why I like to say that we know very little. Hence, it is not enough for the spirit simply to want to show itself. This answer here, if we go back to 1 or 2 questions before, makes things more complicated too. I am the spirit, and tonight I want Pablo to see me hanging around his place because I want to scare him tonight. That's not enough. That's not enough. The spirit must find the required aptitude in the individual to whom it wants to show itself. So you need to have your physical body prepared to it. The spirit needs to interact with your fluid, and then you'll be able to see. So things are getting more complicated as we move along, right? Can this faculty be developed through practice? Let's see what he's going to answer, and then I'll make some comments. But no, I'll stop here. I'll stop here. We had enough for today. I know you're tired of me, and it's our time to our closure. Hi, Sandra. Go on.
Okay, so what I wanted to say is relate for holidays. I'll be away for the next 2 Saturdays, so I don't know, Guilherme, if you have a plan for next 2 sessions, because I won't be able to join.
Well, I'm very happy for you. I heard Spain is very nice this time of the year.
Thank you.
But we'll be here anyway. So,
okay.
And
then I can watch the recorded, yes. Okay.
So, as I was very picking on Pablo today, I will ask Pablo to do our final prayer.
Dear Lord, we thank you for all the knowledge, all the doubts, and all the will that we have to keep seeking for answers and for better understanding this primordial relationship between the ones that are incarnate and the ones that are in the spiritual world. May we keep this always alive in our heart and mind to make us even more eager to acquire knowledge. May we have a blessed and peaceful weekend. Thank you, and so be it.
Thank you. And I need to thank you all. Ana Paula was very nice today. I really had a good time. And Daniel, and all of you that participated, that's what makes this study interesting. And there's no right or wrong. That's why we're here for. We're here to study together, to learn together with one and another. And eventually, we'll learn something. So I wish you all a wonderful weekend. To those that won't be able to be here next week, have a wonderful Christmas. Enjoy the family. The food, enjoy the food. It's the best part ever. And looking forward to see you very soon. Merry
Bye-bye.
Christmas, everyone.